We can help end poverty for good.
Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Kind of Like Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis's haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 13, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 19. Grab your elegant box of French macarons from Nicolette's Macarons in Plymouth, conveniently located off Highway 169 and 36th Avenue. Stop in their store or place your online order at NicolettesMacarons.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Tonight, we were supposed to have on with Psychic Medium Refined Divine. We were going to be talking about manifesting in 2026. Unfortunately, she is feeling a little under the weather tonight. So we are going to instead going to be talking about a number of other things. And it's kind of a paranormal chat tonight, okay? As we're just trying, I wanted to still do a new show because I love talking, right? You know that. And I love reaching out to folks and interacting and having conversations. Last night, our conversation with Kedrick was really fun, and there was great energy in the chat. So if there's something you want to talk about tonight, go ahead, just put it into the chat. We will, talk about a lot of things. I have stuff, as always, that I can talk about, and I can go on for hours and hours and hours. And we can talk paranormal, we could talk alien, we could talk cryptid, whatever's on your mind tonight. Let me know, because we can go anywhere we want to and just have some fun tonight. But I hope that Deb is feeling a little bit better. Like I said, we'll get her back on talking about how to manifest, and we can talk about manifestation as well. You know, manifestation is something that I have started doing, probably about 2 years ago or something like that. Things were really pretty dire for me in a lot of ways, certainly financially and whatnot. And, I decided, what can I lose to go ahead and start trying to manifest what I want out of life. I heard other people doing it. It always seemed like something that's like, that's something other people can do. I don't know if I can do it. And, a few years back, when things are getting really bad, I just would take time and just manifest, just sit there and meditate and ask for what I needed, because there was really no other way for me to get it. And, I was going to say it took a while, but it really didn't, but it was persistent. It was persistent to be asking for what I needed, persistently every night. Like, this is what I'd like to achieve. This is what I need. I need money. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep my house. I need money for that. I need a job. I need work. And please don't get me wrong, especially when I say I need a job. I wasn't just sitting there hoping a job will fall in my lap, but I manifested the kind of job I wanted, it took, a little bit of time, but, and that's the one thing that I was going to bring up with Deb tonight, I wonder if it's something that is, affects people differently in terms of how quickly they get what they're asking for, or a matter of how long you've been doing it. Is it easier because you know what to do than someone starting out? I've said this before, and I really believe, excuse me, I really believe that when you start out, don't be surprised if it doesn't happen right away, but don't get discouraged either, because getting discouraged is something that makes you want to stop so easily. And to be able to just kind of, like what I did was did a list every night of, this is what I need, this is what I want. And every night I'd read through it. And something I also learned was that don't feel weird about asking for stuff. I felt weird about asking for stuff. I felt like, well, maybe this is something that I need to, dial back on, because it's, maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe I'm being greedy, and that's not the case at all. And that's you don't get unless you ask, right? And that's what this is all about. Joshua says in the comments, manifestation is a valuable tool and does work. Mind over matter, kind of. Yeah, I think so. I mean, really, you really do need to put the work in. You hear this when we do like the one question readings. You got to do the work. You just gotta try. And that's something that is not. It's funny because it doesn't take long. Every night you think about it, it's like all it is maybe 5 minutes or so a day, maybe 10, maybe 15. It's not long in the grand scheme of things to try to manifest big things in your life to happen. And I know that Deb would have told us about, how much she manifests. And you can see, when you talk to her and Dave, there really isn't anything that is out of their reach. And that's what it should be for all of us. But you got to put the work in, you got to try, and you don't give up. And I consider myself to be, doing all right with it, to be honest. So that's something that I really wanted to make sure when we get Deb back. And so a week from tomorrow will be one question readings again. The next time we do a Tuesday with her, then I'm presuming, unless she has something else in mind, that we're going to do the manifestation. And that's going to be great. If you have questions on how I manifest, not that I'm saying I'm the one that does it, the best, but I mean, I've had success. If you have questions on it, let me know. Or if you want to share what you do, would be very open to it as well, because that's just, as I keep saying, people who have not done it before, and maybe be intimidated by it, you got to try it. And when you try it once, then the next day you have to try it again and try it again. And for a while, what I also tried to do when things were not looking good for me at all, And we all have these moments, right? We all have these periods, these ebbs and flows, ups and downs, darker periods and lighter periods. And the hardest thing to do is to stay positive, isn't it? That's kind of the hardest thing to do. And what I would do, and this is something I learned from Shar actually, would be waking up. When you wake up in the morning, what are 5 things you're grateful for? Okay, what are 5 things you're grateful for? And the purpose of that is gratitude, right? Gratitude is something that is I think often overlooked. I think it's something that is often overlooked, and it's especially when things are not going your way. When things are going your way, I bet gratitude is very easy, right? And I don't mean that specifically like, you all are, a grateful bunch of, what? No, I don't mean that at all. But what I'm saying is that, and for us, the plural we, that when things are going well, we could be very grateful because things are great. It's harder to be grateful when things are not going great. And I think that's just a fact. And so what I really needed to do, and I think I did succeed to a certain degree during that period of time and to now, is, like I said, every day, what are 5 things that I'm grateful for? It could be as simple as I am grateful for some eggs in my refrigerator. I'm grateful for, at that time, Linus. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for a car that is driving well, that I can just be able to drive in. And I am grateful for McDonald's. It's just stuff like that. Leanne in the comments says, there's always a silver lining, even if you have to scratch for it. Sometimes it's just getting out of bed. Oh my gosh. Tell me about it. There was that time that getting out of bed was actually not really a thing for me. That things were feeling so low. And we're talking probably May to kind of the rest of 2023, to be perfectly honest, where things were just not great. And it just felt like being in bed was a lot more fruitful than not. And I know that we all have these moments, these periods of times. And in a sense, I'm kind of grateful that I would be allowed to just go back to bed because things weren't all that great. And that seemed like a better, proposition. There's other people, of course, who go through these, especially I think of like parents and stuff who, generally have to put on like a stiff upper lip or something because they know that they are accountable to a lot of people, like children, their spouses. And that's, just how it is. So, it all ties together. It all ties together as, the being grateful and manifesting. I think to manifest, you have to be grateful. You can't just ask and hope to receive. And that's the end of the contract. You have to be able to, I think in my mind, the order is grateful, being grateful, and then manifestation. That's the way I see it. Because to me, if it's manifestation and then being grateful, it almost to me comes across as I'll be grateful if I get what I want. But what I think you need to show the universe, and that's what I'm talking about, is showing the universe that I am grateful for what I have. But there's certain things that I do want, and I'm asking to provide. As I say, the universe always provides. That's what that is. Universe always provides. You got to ask for it. And that's what it's all about. Now, Austin has a very interesting comment in the comment section. He says, "Grateful for you, Greg." Oh, come on, enough. I'm turning red over here. Come on. So it's interesting, isn't it? I at the beginning of this journey in this what we call paranormal, and Leanne says, "I don't think it would work the other way." I agree 100%. And when you say it, when you say it out loud, it seems like that's a no-brainer, but I don't think that's always a no-brainer for people, and that's why I think that's why it's kind of important to just make sure that we talk about that. But when I started this journey in the paranormal, this wasn't about any of this, right? This was about going into dark spaces and hoping to get some kind of device to light up, some kind of voice to come through a box, some kind of movement in a room, little orbs. And it didn't take long for me to realize that there is so much more to all of this than that. And that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that this is all stuff now that, my personal journey is, paranormal, but what it really is the enlightenment. This was the enlightenment of me, to hopefully be a better person. Gratitude, I think, makes you a better person. Gratitude for everything. As I said at the beginning of yesterday's episode, the gratitude I had for everybody and everybody at the Parafair this last weekend in Wabasha. Because you know what? It was so great to be around everybody. It was so great. And I hadn't done this in so long. And to be able to just have fun conversations. And I didn't investigate a bit. And I brought all my stuff, but it's just how it works out. And, that's what it's all about is the gratitude and the being there, and then if you want to do the manifestation, I think that's the groundwork that you lay, and it gets you in a better place, I think. And if you haven't tried manifesting at all, please do so. Give yourself a month. If you're not really sure about it, give yourself a month and give yourself something small that you want to manifest. And I don't mean like, I'm hoping to get a Big Mac in a couple days. Think about it. Think about what it could be. And from there, grow and see what else you can ask for. And from there, you can see what you want. I kept it very simple. I'm not sitting there every day, and this is just me. You do what you want to do. I don't sit there going, I wish I was a millionaire. I really don't. Others might, and that might mean that they might be one day. But what I was saying is I was trying to manifest a living wage. I was trying to manifest to make sure that I can afford to stay here because I love it here. Manifest that, I'm going to be okay. That sort of thing. And other things as well. I got a couple things I want to talk about tonight. So we can talk about that. If there is something in particular you want to talk about, just put it into the comments. My goodness, we could do whatever we want tonight. It's kind of a paranormal chat. I always have something to talk about, but I'd rather talk about what you want to talk about. So put it in the comments and we'll go from there. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are. But now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. And welcome back to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Once again, if you are tuning in to see Psychic Medium Refined Divine talk about manifesting, unfortunately, she's under the weather tonight. We are talking about it tonight, as well as talking about some other things as well. But, if you have questions about it, I can certainly give my point of view to it, as well as I'd like to hear other people's point of view as well. If there's something else you want to talk about, we're open to anything tonight, but I wanted to make sure that we were on just so that we can all connect and make sure everyone is doing all right. But without Deb here, I do want to let everyone know this weekend, she is going to be in Baraboo, Wisconsin for the Refined Divine Holistic Expo. That's January's, that's right, January 17th. I don't even know what day it is. Isn't that something? Well, it's not unusual for me, I guess. I'm still thinking it's like the 4th, we're almost halfway through January, Greg. Okay, so Refined Divine Holistic Expo, January 17th, 10 to 4 at the Baraboo Arts Center. And once again, as all of her events are, there's going to be a lot of great vendors, practitioners, psychic readings, oracle tarot readings, Reiki energy, clearing and massage, crystal shopping. There are going to be door prizes all day. And there's always great speakers. And I'm pretty sure that Deb is going to be doing a gallery there, which is really good. So you got to make sure that you get out there. Let's see here. I just want to see real fast. Did I miss the price at the door or anything? I'm sure there is one. They're generally not that expensive. I was out at Baraboo last year. I think we've all talked about it. I did actually a program out there, a live show out there. I'd love it out there. Hoping at some point we can do an event out there is something. We talked to a few people out there. The Baraboo Arts Banquet and Convention Center is 321 Water Street, Baraboo, Wisconsin. Once again, that's 10 to 4. You got to check it out. It's a lot of fun. These events are a lot of fun, and you should go check it out. Also, if you want, you could just go over to refineddivinepsychic.com. You can see everything going on there, plus the information on the cruise, the updated cruise leaving in November now. hitting the Bahamas and Jamaica. That is going to be pretty awesome, actually. Add a couple more places, and she can actually do like Kokomo with all the places that she's going. So I think it's going to be really great. I'm going to see if I can get on that. I'm not sure if I can get onto that trip or not. That seems very, very awesome. So check it out. It's going to be great. Let's see here. Where were we now? We were talking about manifestation. Austin has said, manifesting has worked for me in the past, but if I were new, what steps should I take? I think, this is coming from my point of view, and it'd be interesting to hear what someone like who really has nailed it, quite frankly, what Deb does. Manifestation to me is it's still meditation, but I think the first thing that I want to do is I want to write down the stuff that I find that I am hoping to get and achieve. And, I think one of the things that's important about this too is that it's not, I mentioned earlier, like money and stuff, and that's fine. Obviously that's fine. I need a new car. This one isn't working, whatever else. But what about also things that you want to do better in life, things that you want to achieve, job. Maybe there's something about you that you really wish that you could change, help me to be, less of a hothead or something like that. Those are things, write it all down. And I just started by at a certain time every night, once again, I do the things I'm grateful for in the morning. And then in the evening, I would do just this sort of like, this is the stuff that I'm asking the universe for. And I'm asking the universe to provide. And then I'd go through the list. And from there, the one thing that you always do is please and thank you. I mean, I've never heard of anyone putting like, a deadline on it, by the way, and I need this, by Friday. I think, that's, to me, at least, part of it is I think you could put out to, I'm hoping to achieve in the next couple of months this. I need to do this in this period of time. I don't think that that's bad, but it should be like, can I have $10,000 by Friday? May not work. Now, if it does work for you, let me know how you do that, because I might take that on myself. But and just keep doing it. And I do it in a meditative state. There's a lot of times now. And one of the things I do a weekly manifestation, and I do actually call a weekly check-in with universe. I'm a big believer in pendulum. Pendulum being the crystal at the end of a chain, and you ask yes or no questions. And I'm a big proponent of that. I do it once a week, and I do it to kind of see, like, what does my week look like? Am I going to have a good week? Am I going to be okay in certain areas? And yes and no is different for everyone. You have to start off by asking what's my yes, what's my no, and asking Spirit, can you show me yes? Can you show me no? And from there, asking yes or no questions that could help. And from there, you just start getting it. And there are things that I have asked about, just to kind of see where universe is at. That pendulum told me something that is, very, like, it surprised me, and then it came true. And one of my favorite things actually was I use it to help me find things in the house. And there was something very non-consequential to this audience, but something I really wanted to find, and I hadn't seen it in years. And I asked Spirit, can you help me find it using pendulum? And I'd go room to room in the house. And I've heard some people would draw out a floor plan of the house and put the pendulum over like the rooms. But I was going room to room. Is it in here? And it would, no. And then in one of the rooms, it's like, yes. And I was like, is it in the closet? And it's like, yes. And I dug through the closet, and there it was. It was right there. And like not on top, not like I opened up like, oh, it's been there the whole time. It's very much like, oh, I had to dig, and it's like, oh, we're finally there. I never, I didn't even realize there was that much space in the closet for all that stuff to be. And I have been very much a big fan of it since. And I'm not someone who every single decision I need to make, I'm using it. But, especially on Sundays, I use it I use it for a session. And at the end of that session, actually, what I end up doing, and for me, yes, the way the pendulum works for yes is a counterclockwise circle. And a no is going back and forth just in a line. Would if you looked at it as a clock, would be 12 and 6, right? That makes sense. And it never used to be that way. Then one day it completely switched and turned, and that's what it's been for probably about 2 years now. And at the end of it, every time now, I say hello to Linus. And the yes, the counterclockwise yes, the pendulum, it starts spinning a lot faster, and it gets a lot higher. Like it's really, the energy is really great. And I talked to Linus through that, and it's just very energetic, and it's very lively. And I know there's people out there who are literally like, come on, are you serious? I am. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, to me, this is all part of what I do. And I've really, it's something I do every week and without fail. And I really like it. But once again, you're starting off the manifestation part of it. Start slow, write down what you want, and you start going through it. You start asking, and you start, making sure that universe knows you're grateful, and also your please and thank yous. You don't demand, okay? Just don't demand. That's not going to work. And I say that because I'm sure there are people that had demanded, and it's just not the way it works. Let's see here. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit, just for those of you who are interested, we talk a lot about aliens and stuff, and you might have seen that this week that Eric von Daniken had passed away. He was, what was he, 91? And he wrote the book Chariots of the Gods, and this is pretty much what we have looked at as basically ancient aliens on the History Channel. This is where they got the idea from, and he used to be on Ancient Aliens as well. And for those who don't know, Chariots of the Gods is a book, a nonfiction book by Eric von Daniken that argues ancient civilizations were visited and influenced by extraterrestrials. That's where you get the ancient astronaut theory, right? That proposes that advanced beings from space visited Earth thousands of years ago. Now, the thing about that, and also very controversially, that aliens are basically gods. When you talk about gods in the the sense of all this stuff, it's very much, you have to think that that's a very controversial take by saying that, oh yeah, Romans, you think you had gods? No, you had aliens. Anything. And I enjoy watching Ancient Aliens. For the most part, I used to. I don't think I enjoy it as much anymore. There used to be some very interesting topics, but virtually what their standpoint is, any sort of advancement that we have made is down to aliens. And maybe they're right, but some of it seems a little far-fetched even for me. There is a great one, though, I really enjoy. And I go back to occasionally, if you ever had seen one of them that's about the alien influences on presidents, U.S. presidents. It's really good, especially talking about George Washington, or even I'm not even presidents, founding fathers as well. If you haven't seen that one, I would check that out. It's really I think it's really pretty good. And so with all that, that's what Eric had really started talking about monuments and engineering, that great periods, Pumapunka, other places are cited precise for massive for ancient technology alone, that it's not possible that the people in that period of time could have made this stuff. Ancient art, carvings, and reliefs claim to resemble astronaut helmets or spacecraft. We've seen that stuff. We've seen these cave drawings of very primitive things, and then there's something there that, although still primitive, looks like an astronaut of some kind, or some sort of non-human sort of being. And that stuff is very important. Now, obviously, this was strongly rejected by mainstream archaeology and science, but at the same time, and I can't imagine that everyone agrees all of that stuff is true, but I think it certainly was an interesting conversation starter, and one that I don't think that we can completely ignore. Do you all think that we owe much of our advancement to alien technology? Do you think that we are further along because of it? I'm curious if you all think so. And I don't even mean like nowadays. I mean the ancient alien theories, the alien astronaut, or whatever are we calling that? The ancient astronaut theory. What do you all think on that? I'm curious. Now, going back to the manifestation, Beth says, I use hypnosis, overcoming procrastination, belief in yourself, love life. And I think those are very important things. You have to believe in yourself. You have to, and I think love life to me falls, rather in with gratitude. Going back to the ancient alien theory, John believes, yes, that's definitely so. I mean, yeah, right. I mean, how interesting, and there's so many, there, even back in the day, there's accounts of such things that, that there's parts of it that kind of talk about aliens, but they don't say aliens because that's not really a word yet, right? It's very interesting. Or there's even, some Renaissance era paintings, and I believe since I couldn't really prepare too much, I might have this completely wrong, where you have, I think there is one, isn't there one of a crucifixion of Christ, and there's like, or is it actually Mary with Christ as a child, and behind is like what looks like a UFO, and this is a painting, a Renaissance era painting, and it's like, what on earth is that, right? That's the thing. Why don't we go ahead? I'd like to go ahead, take another break here. When we come back, whatever you want to talk about, I have some other things that I can get to easily enough. But of course, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are. But now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We're going to do a replay way back from October of 2023, where we have Daryl Marston, who was on the A&E version of Ghost Hunters with the whole crew there. And we were talking about The Horror of the House of Wills, a true story of a paranormal investigator's most terrifying case. That is a book that Daryl had written back in September of 2023. We had a great conversation about that. If you haven't checked it out, go please do so. It's a really, really good conversation. And I'd also want to remind people too, if you want to get something like a book like that or whatever else, please go over to ghostboxradio.com, Ghostbox Book Club. And the reason why, of course, is because we have the Amazon link there. And if you use the Amazon link, it helps Ghostbox Radio. It's very helpful to us. I also want to, since I'm in the mood to talk about myself a little bit, I also want to once again show people, please consider signing up for my Patreon, patreon.com/Ghostbox Radio. And we have years of radio shows that don't age because paranormal topics are so interesting. And there's a lot of great guests that we have that are no longer with us. We have those archived. We have them broken out into categories. So it's easy if you're just in the mood to just browse everything that has to do with conspiracy theories or things to do with, hate to say it, demons or historical locations or whatever. That's all broken out separately. And I just want to let people know, and I hate talking about this because it sounds like begging, quite honestly, but signing up for as low as $3 a month, you get access to all that stuff. We just put up an early episode the other day that's going to be aired, and basically just I'm going to say that, you know, I don't really get paid to do the show. Patreon really helps with that, especially with the getting books to help research the guests and stuff like that. I also want to say I told you the wrong show for tomorrow. I'm just thinking about it. Tomorrow is not Thursday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I tell you, I told you guys earlier, I don't know what day it is. I probably don't even know what year it is. So let me just say real fast, because tomorrow's going to be an amazing show, and it's a new show actually. And it's going to be the return of David L. Sloan talking about the new book he wrote. Basically, the book is called How Key West Killed JFK, and it's a pre-record. We already had the conversation. It's going to be new for you tomorrow. But the thing about the book is that it's we talk about stuff, and I realize what's happening here is that he's providing some stuff that no one's ever seen before that actually might help maybe shed some light onto the JFK assassination, because, well, you got to listen tomorrow to find out, because it's very interesting. And if anyone's watching, you'll see that my chair, I mean, everything is falling apart over here, quite frankly. My chair is like drowning me now. It's just getting lower and lower. I don't know. It's, it's one of those days that technology and furniture apparently don't work together. So once again, tomorrow is David L. Sloan talking about how Key West killed JFK. Then Thursday, we are going to be talking to Daryl Marston in a replay. Friday is Casual Friday. We got some things to update you about, and that includes the whole Jason Hawes Conjuring House. Well, that took a turn because basically he didn't get it. So it was all rejected. So we'll talk more about that. Get into that a little bit more on Friday. So lots of stuff going on actually. In the comments, Stacy says, I truly believe we are much further along because of aliens than we would be otherwise. In the past century, we have made too many advances for it to be just us. And I got to say, I think, if there is an argument about aliens having a part of the progression of the human race, it does feel like, and I mean, yeah, I think century, I see what you mean, but I would say from the late 1800s to basically to now. And once you got the computer chip, I think the silicon chip, once that was created, I think that changed. I gotta change my chair here. And then it's like, it's all, folks, I'm not kidding. I don't know if I don't think it's aliens to start with, but my computer screen is kind of wobbling around and stuff over here now. My chair is not working with me 100%. And I just got this thing, and I think it's about ready to be thrown into the street. But it's weird. It's weird. We're talking all this stuff, and you get all this kind of like computer kind of mishap and stuff. And Stacy, to your point, is this a matter of aliens, or is this also a matter of when a certain type of technology is created, that technology takes you exponentially into a direction, creation of the steam engine doesn't necessarily take you, it does in its own way exponentially to other places, right? But when the computer chip was created, and then now you're getting into the technology of the touch screens and stuff like that. And I'm no technology expert, but it seems to me that just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and doing more and more. I don't know. It's very interesting. Very interesting. And yeah, Stacey says, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting for sure. Yeah, it's I don't know. That's it's it's interesting because, we really talk about the ancient alien stuff, but it does feel like that we go from kind of a steady sort of progression, right? From, the, ancient times to around, the 1800s. It seems like a steady progression, a steady evolution. And then once we get into the 1900s, or the 20th century, it just really takes off and explodes. And that's when, obviously we really document some of those alien, interactions, such as Roswell. And if that is to be believed, the whole idea of Roswell, that alien bodies were recovered, and I certainly do believe it. And we did a great episode early on about Roswell and about the fact that alien bodies, they weren't alien bodies, they were living aliens that were detained and apparently all had died because we couldn't take care of them. We didn't let them go. We didn't take care of them, and they died. And the thing that's interesting about that too is the remorse that a couple of these captive aliens had, the sadness. And this is documented in the book Witness to Roswell. And it's documented because they know that they're not going to see their family again. They know they're dying. And they know that we're not letting them go. And that was actually certified by people who work there. And a lot of these were virtually deathbed petitions because, time had passed and they could tell the story. And it's actually very sad, really, when you think about that, because, the thing that maybe we had been somewhat kind of trained to think about when it comes to aliens is that they are, another planet, and all they want to do is, take over or land or do experiments on us or whatever else. But the thing is that, they why wouldn't they have a family of whatever they might look at it, whatever they might call it? But that's sort of dynamic back where they come from, and that these could be suicide missions. Who knows though if like the Roswell crash was meant to be nothing more than like just some sort of exploration, some sort of like check-in on what's going on here, and it goes wrong and they crash. And now here we are, we're handling them and we don't know what to do with them, and they end up dying. I think that's pretty sad, to be perfectly honest. But and who knows how many that we had got over time. So going back to the point I was trying to make just a couple minutes ago is that, once we start having these, somewhat documented interactions with aliens, Stacy's point makes a lot more sense. That, we are now in the, mid to late 1940s. We're having, these conversations with aliens. Who's to say there isn't an exchange of technology, ideas, concepts? And, certainly, we also know stuff that, NASA used, the technology that they created for their flights and stuff, that's all stuff that, eventually comes to us, that we can as consumers can get, but that's not right away. It takes time for that to filter down to us. So I don't know. It's very, I think there's a lot to it. I really do. And I hope someday we find out. I hope someday we get some clarification. Only just because it's history. It's our history. And we have a right to know that. I think we have a right to know that. I don't know. I don't know. Someday ancient aliens are going to apply to what happened at Roswell, and all the other stuff. And I think maybe Roswell was a turning point, but abductions and maybe little pushes by aliens in the ancient times that might even resemble like what happened to Betty and Barney Hill. Maybe that's been happening all along as well. I don't know. Isn't that interesting? And it's a great conversation. And Stacy, that is a fantastic point that you brought up tonight, and I really appreciate it. Once again, we didn't have Deb with us tonight, and I'm hoping that she feels better. She is such a good friend, and Dave is such a good person that hopefully we get that. And Beth, someday we really do need to delve into this more. Beth writes, Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch had me very intrigued. I don't talk about it too much, actually. That's one thing that I never bring up. And we had Cheryl Lynn Carter on the program. She has written so many great books. And one that we talked about Skinwalker Ranch, I'm sure we've talked about others as well. And she also visited as well. You know what, Beth? We need to get a better conversation about that going. And thank you for putting that out there, because that is definitely one of those great topics that seemingly doesn't really ever have a whole lot of movement on it as far as like really knowing what's going on there. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this. It's a little bit last minute as we didn't have Deb with us tonight. Tomorrow, and I have it right this time, tomorrow we have David L. Sloan talking about how Key West killed JFK. I hope everyone tunes in for that, because that is a great episode. Everyone, have a fantastic night. See you tomorrow, and see you on Friday live for Casual Friday. Everyone, take care.